Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be all about trapping raccoons. I've got a live trap back there. I just purchased this trap over the winter time, and I've used one of these traps before, and it's got some very inherent flaws that, well, all the different promotions that you see about buying a live trap, well, they don't really talk about some of the things I'm going to talk about, and that is live trapping nuisance raccoons. So let's take a look at this trap. I'm going to show you how it actually works and what the flaws are and the things that I'm going to do to it to improve it so that when I'm removing nuisance raccoons, well, you can do it safely. Okay, so this is the type of trap that you really want when you're going to remove some nuisance raccoons from your property and relocate them. And there is the door end at the back, one door, and this is a Havahart made by, you can see right there, Victor, and the model number is right there, 1079. It's quite big. It's about 3 feet long. It's got an entrance for about 12 by 10, and these are the three animals that you can catch. You know, a groundhog, raccoon, possum, no possums where I am, or cats. And I got no purpose of getting cats, so I just let everything else go, you know, and I got no raccoons. But I want to give a little bit of a shout out here. This is where I bought it. Preston Hardware, Ottawa and Ontario, Canada. And I will tell you something. It's just amazing how you can just do a little bit of a search on your internet, and this unit here was 20% less than any other retailer that I could find that would ship this to your door for free. So a little shout out for Preston Hardware, and I have no affiliation with them. I just bought the product and that's it. And if you take a look at this here, well, maybe you're noticing some of the problems and some of the, well, inherent flaws of buying one of these. And I'm just going to take all this cardboard off, and I'll bring you back and I'll start to explain exactly the things that I'm going to do to this to improve it, because I would not ever use this trap with a raccoon in there because, well, there's some problems. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is just show you the functionality of the trap and how it works. It's very basic, and if you just take a look at this rod here, as this rod goes up, there's got a catch on it. The catch is right here, and when the animal comes in and it steps on this pad, well, it trips the catch. So let's go to the business end here, and I'm going to show you the biggest flaw and one of many on these traps that have never been resolved. And I'm going to actually cycle the trap for you so you can see how it actually functions, and then see if you could notice a big problem. Okay, so here's the trap in the closed position. All you do is you just lift up this little keeper here, push it forward, lift it up, and as it comes up, there's a hole right here and a small little catch. And all you do is pull this rod forward, which engages the trap pad so that it will spring. Now, in this particular situation right here, the way it is, well, that's actually the same position it has to be in to let the animal out. Now, I'll tell you something. Does that seem logical to any of you? That while the animal's in there, you have to be at this end doing all this stuff. And I'm saying there's a better way. Now, I have noticed that Havahart has one that has a hole on the opposite side with a timer on it, so that when you set the timer, it will open up the door so the animal can escape on its own. And that's a great idea, but who wants to spend that much money on a trap to let the animal out when it's basically this trap with a door on it and a timer? So that's not what I'm going to do. But I want to show you some things about this trap that are just plain wrong, and I'll have to back way up in my shop here to explain it to you. And so we'll just simulate. I'll get on the other, I'll just show you what it looks like when the trap is sprung. And that's it. Now it catches on this catch here, so the animal can't get out. But let's just simulate that you have the animal in there now. Now what do you do? So I'm going to show you exactly what's wrong with this trap and why I would never use this trap, because I've used this style of trap before and it sucks big time when it comes to your own personal safety. So let's just pretend that you've caught yourself a raccoon in there. Now I will tell you something. I have lots of experience with raccoons, and 99% of all raccoons are very docile. They're very harmless creatures. They're very friendly creatures. But there's the odd one. I'll tell you something. And you'll find out. You'll find out very easily the odd one that, well, is just plain nasty. So I'd like you to just watch exactly what I'm doing that they don't show you in all these advertisements for all these safe removal techniques for removing, a raccoon from your property or any other animal. Well, they make it pretty safe for the animal, but they're not making it pretty safe for you, and I'm going to show you exactly why. So here you go here. You got a 25-pound raccoon in this. Can any of you lift 25 pounds out like that? Because I can't. And guess where it goes? Just like this. So you're going to have to carry this trap, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it to my, I've got like a forest not far away from me here, like under a kilometer away, and I'm going to relocate the raccoon there. But yeah, so there you are. You're standing like this. Because I guarantee you, you get a 25, 40-pound raccoon, you're not carrying it like this. It's going to be like this. Right? And there's a huge problem there. Let's have a little closer look and see what the problem is. Okay, for many of you already know what the problem is, but I'm going to explain it to you. Right here, they have this shield coming around where you can grab a hold of it to lift it up, right? And but look at the size of this whole opening here. A raccoon can get his hands through here so easily, or all the way through any one of these. Like, I mean, it's so easy, it's incredible. Now, I'll tell you something. You trap any raccoon, the first thing they want to do is put their hands down through the bottom and see if they can pull themselves. And a lot of times what happens, you will come out and this trap will be on its side, it'll have been rolled over, because they can get their hands through here. And the first thing is the bottom. The bottom should be, if you can put it on a board or something, that'd be fine. Something that they can't grab a hold of, but I'm going to do something better than that. And on the top, and on the side that you're carrying it from, you can definitely see a raccoon could just stick his hand through here and just grab you, right? And same as on the top. So I'm going to make some huge improvements to this, and follow along. And the end. How many of you want to be at the business end when you open up this thing and you got one nasty raccoon in there? Right? So I'm going to show exactly what I'm going to do with this as well. And I'm going to bring you back when both of them problems have been solved, where Have a Heart is thinking about the safety of the animal, and I'm thinking about the safety of you. So I'll bring you back when this is done, and I'll show you my resolve to all of these problems that I think should be put on every one of these traps, so it's safe for the person handling the trap and safe for the animal inside. Okay, we're back. I'm just going to show you everything that I used in this particular project. I used some zip ties, some cutters for the end of the zip ties, tape measure, and a long aluminum guide with a X-Acto knife to cut the aluminum flashing. A little bit of a square there. Now these are the magnets that I bought. Now, in between them, you could see there's like a piece of rubber, because they are so strong that you have a hard time separating them if you don't have something in between. So these are 100-pound magnets. They'll hold up to 100 pounds. And some snips. Now I use this, just my little punch here, and it does a great job of just punching holes in the flashing. And here's the flashing here. I used a 12-inch width in the hammer. All I did was just put the flashing up against the edge here, and you can see where I rolled it over the seams. And yeah, if you just scribe the flashing with a straight edge and an X-Acto knife, just make a couple of nice scribes, it'll just fold up and down and snap, and it'll be that easy. So let's get over to the trap. It's all finished, and let me know what you think. Okay, so there it is right there. You can see I got the aluminum flashing on here. I got a piece going right across the bottom to the other side and on the top, so that when you're carrying this, your body is not up against here and having some animal go through the wire and grab you, because you know what's going to happen? You're going to drop the trap, and you're more likely, well, you're going to get injured, and so is the animal, and we don't want that, right? So I think this is a good ad. It's so easy to do, and you can see where I just punched the holes through here and just use some pull ties. Now, get on to this end here. This is going to be a little bit of an explanation what this is all about, but I will tell you something. When you're modifying anything at all, you have to take a lot of things into consideration, and I'm going to go over everything here, and I will tell you something. Anybody could make one of these. It's not like any kind of a special thing. Anybody could make one of these, and I'm going to go over exactly what I did here, and I'm going to explain it all, and then I'll demonstrate it. So let's start off with the hardest part first. Okay, so the best way I could possibly show you exactly what's going on here is one step at a time. And the first thing I'd say is I had to design an idea where you could let the animal out of the trap 30 feet away without going near the trap, because like I said before, they do make this style of trap where it's got a timer on the side of the trap itself. But I tell you what, do you want to get in there where there's a skunk in there? Now, 9 times out of 10, a skunk's not going to spray you. They're very docile animals. But for a lot of people, they don't want to get near this trap if there's a skunk in there. So I set it up so that you could release an animal 30 feet away without getting near the trap after it's been sprung. So right now, it's in the position where there's an animal in the trap. So if we just take a look at this little lever right here, this goes back and forth, and I had to massage this a bit so that it wouldn't hit this particular spring here, and I'll explain that. Now, as I come up, it opens this up. You see that? So as I lift this up, it opens this up, and it's at that point that we start. So I'll give you a better angle of exactly what's going on here, and but this is the beginning that I started with, and just lift this up. Now right here on the bottom, I'm going to show you what's there, and it is a magnet. So this is simple as this. This opens here, this opens up like this, and then I'll show you how the rest works. Okay, so on here, I've just got an attachment here, and this just holds the guide wire, and you can see I've got 30 feet on here, and this is just a piece of PEX pipe, and I just put some slots on both ends, wind it in there, and right at the top here is a slot. So I'll just put this back the way it would be if you were to setting the trap, and just imagine you're like 30 feet away, and all you have to do is just feed it in this guide wire. So now you lift it up, and there's a magnet here, and there's a washer right there, and everything's held in with aluminum rivets. There you go, right there. So I'll give you a closer look up of what it looks like, and you can see how easy this was to make, and I'll show you some of the modifications I had to do to get it to actually work. Okay, we'll start off at this end, and you can see all I did was use some 1/16 stainless steel braided cable, and I got a couple of swage connectors on here. I've showed that before on my channel using these, so I put 2 on each one. Now I bent this bar just a little bit so that it would not conflict with this right here. Now this is the locking tab, and if you notice what I did is I just got an abrasive disc and cut out a notch, because if we take a close look there, you could see it's just sitting above, but I don't have the trap in the set position, and when I do put it in the set position, it comes up like this, and it was hitting on this top, so I had to cut a slot out of there. So I painted it around, and then I stuck some aluminum tape on so it wouldn't rust. And this is magnetic, and if we just come over to here, this is the magnet here. Now I got an aluminum rivet in there, and what I did was I just ground it down until it was magnetized enough, because if I just put this in flush, you'd never get it off. You'd never get it off here. You'd be pulling like anything to pull this thing right out, because it grips that much. So if we take a look, and we could see that I just put the cable there, and I've got one going for the trap, one going for the length. And if we just come over here, you could see I made a little bit of an extension on here so that when that does come down, it sits in this guide, so it would not have any play going back and forth, which is very simple. And I just bolted everything down, and I just got a couple of little plates. This is all scrap pieces from my garage, just a couple of plates I would go between the wires here. I put some Loctite on all the fasteners, and I just got one right there, and you could see how that, now here's the whole spool. You can wind it down to as far as you want, and this piece right in here, you can see on the back side where I got the magnet riveted in, everything is on the rivets. And this is not a hard project at all. For most people, yeah, I think you can do this, because I'll put it in pieces, right? So you could see how that magnet and the washer is not touching. It's just the top of the aluminum rivet, and that's what's holding it in, because if I let that go flush with the washer, the steel washer, well, I'll tell you what, you'd have a hard time getting it down. So this is the whole rig right there, and like I said, it's got a nice little notch right here that you can just feed it in, and you're back about 30 feet. And I just made sure this got a lot of slack in it here, and that's pretty well it. I mean, anybody could build one of these. So what I'll do is I'll set the trap, I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll spring it one more time. Okay, so here's the little paddle, so that when the animal comes in, if it just touches the end of this paddle here, like the weight, it goes along this rod, comes up to here, and you can see where it's just sitting on that little bar there. So we'll come across to the front. I'll show you what it looks like in the front. There it is right there. Now that little piece of wire hanging down is no problem. I don't see an animal being worried about that at all. And if you wanted to, you could just, you know, push it off to the side or tuck it in here wherever you want it. It doesn't really matter. But if we take a look at why I had to make that hole there, yeah, you can see that it does come down. And the last thing I wanted when I made this spring latch mechanism was to have it sitting proud, where right now it's just sitting right down flush, and it's tight, and it's not going nowhere. Like, I mean, that's not going nowhere. So let's just spring it one more time, And I'll give you a close-up shot, and you can see how easy this will be able to release animals safely. Okay, so I'm going to spring the trap here. So the animal's inside, and I'm back. Like you say, you would obviously take this out and unwind it first, you know, for the whole 30 feet. And then all I do is lift this up, and that's it. I mean, that is about as easy as it can get. And that way there, the animal can leave on its own terms, take its time, and you don't have to worry about getting close to the trap. So here we go right here. I think that's a nice, easy, simple project to do, you know, in an afternoon. And I'll tell you something. This here is, I would say, adds about maybe a pound at tops to the trap itself, and the trap is fairly light as it is. So what do you think? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think, because this itself is about as basic as you could get, that anybody can do. You just got to get some pieces of aluminum stock, cut them up, put them on, figure out your angles, and you know, it's as simple as that. It may look difficult, but I think everybody could do it. So thanks for joining me here today. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe. Come back again and see some more interesting projects just like this. Cheers.